All right, all right. Hey there, it's Sam here with you on January 3rd, on Wednesday, January 3rd. Had some members interested in having a look at Lumen, XLM to Bitcoin. I've got up the daily chart here on Bittrex just to get some perspective on where we've been and where we are. So as you can see, this is why we trade crypto, right? It's just absolutely vertical, just Eiffel Tower, just a moonshot, just amazing, amazing, amazing. So, all right. So what do we do with that, right? So if you're not in it, you're looking for the next opportunity to get long, and if you are in, you're trying to manage your position best that you can. So let's open it up a little bit so we can get some sense of it. So I'm going to go. Let's go down. Let's go to a 4 hour. See what that does for us. No, I think we're going to have to go to a 1. So to a 1 hour, let me get this off, give us some more screen space. Okay, so if we take this off to the side, and then I'm going to take it out of log scale. So we can see, all right, so again, keeping some context. Back when we were down, in this area, this move seemed just gigantic. Right now, this is what you dream of, is that something like that becomes a one wave, right? That's exactly what you're hoping for when you see something come out of that long consolidation where you've had the pump, you've given it all back, you go into that base building, and then you start again. So you can see here it's been incredibly technical. It's just been, from an Elliott perspective, it's been absolutely perfect. So we've had all the subdivision that we'd look for. Here's our 1, we get our 2. Here's the big push up for a 3, down for the 4. We complete it here for a 5. There we get our 1 wave. So we've got a solid 1 coming out of that long base. Then we get the very abrupt and sharp correction of the entire 5-wave sequence. So we get it, and we get subdivision there, as you would anticipate. So we get our A, here's our B, it's a push up. We actually double top on the B, and then the big move down for the C wave, giving us our 2, and then we start again. So here we again, just perfect subdivision. It's remarkably technical. So from here, then, of course, back at that time, I've shown this chart several times before. So we get 1, 2. Here's our 3. We get our A wave. Then we get a 3 wave B. Again, similar type of pattern over here. We get this essentially is an expanded flat as we get a little pop above the 3 high, come down for the 4. And then we finish in a diagonal to complete the 1, right? So now it's waves within waves. So now we're in the start of the 3rd wave. So we've had our of the dominant degree of the intermediate is actually what it is. So we've got a 1, 2, then we've got the 1, 2 of the 3rd that gets underway. And then, of course, so this is a great example. So the place you want to be, if you could choose where you are in a series, is the 3rd of the 3rd. That's your money-making wave, and you can see that's exactly what happens here. So we get this 5-wave sequence into a 1. It's a shallow 2, right? I will say that. It's uncharacteristically shallow, but we do see this in crypto. So if I draw it up here, you see we don't quite make the 50, and you can see that alarm was sitting there. We never got the 50, so it's in between. Now, this in a very strong market, you will see this. So, even though this is statistically the highest probability zone, right? 65% of wave 2s are between the 50 and the 618. There's about 15%, 12 to 15% will not make the 50. They'll be at the 38 to the 50 or in that range, and that's exactly what happens here. So just a very strong market, impatient buyers. So they take it here and then they just start to rip it. So I've got to pull this off so we can actually see it. It's gone so far. So 3rd of the 3rd, that's where you want to be. So let me bring this back down. So we know where we are in the count. So this is the advantage of Elliott Wave, is that we can get some context, some structure, and we can anticipate if and when we get a top up here, what's next. So you can see I've wicked off all of these key pivots. Here's the 1 wave from that 5 wave. It's not relevant anymore, and you can see here was the 4, didn't overlap. So that's not really relevant to us anymore. Here's the big 1, 2, and then we've already had our 4, so don't need to wick this off anymore. So we've just gone straight vertical here. Now we do get some subdivision which looks quite nice. So here's the 2 we were just working from, right? So you lose a little perspective here now to accommodate this price action. So from that 2, we get just the kind of subdivision you'd expect. So yet again, we get this pattern that I've shown you dozens and dozens of times, where we get the truncated C wave, we get the shallow third. So we get the A, the B, and the C, but the C wave does not go below the A wave, right? Again, in very strong markets, and we see it in crypto very consistently. We get that triangle pattern. So there's our 4th, and then we go up and we finish. Now, we finish the 3rd of this degree here in green. So we've got a 1, 2, then we get perfect subdivision, and even into the 5th, you can see we get 5 waves. It ends up, no, it's impulsive. It's not a diagonal. So we get a 5-wave structure into our 3rd here. So we know we've got a 3rd, then the abrupt correction. So if I bring this back down, so if we work from our 3rd high, let me get that. Well, let's see here. Maybe I can just do it just as quick this way. So I'm going to grab it over here. So now I'm working from my 2. Here's my 3. Highest probability zone for a 4th between the 38 and the 50. Very strong markets. You can see it above between the 38 and the 23. But we get this straight spike down. We get a wick just through the 38, and then we go vertical yet again. So it's technically, right on the money. You almost couldn't script it any better. The only things that have been somewhat out of the norm have been the very shallow 2 waves that we're seeing. We saw it back here. We see it again here. So we get a shallow 2nd wave. The market's just too strong, so you've got impatient buyers. Up they go for the 3rd. Then we get our straight down. So I'm going to have to open this up yet again. So I'm going to go to the 15 minutes so we can see the subdivision. So here's our 5th of our 3rd. Then we get an A, again, a double top into the B. We've seen this repeatedly, right, all along the way. So it shouldn't be surprising. We get the A wave, the B wave, right? So we essentially have a flat, and then down for the C wave into the 4 at the 38.2. So now you can see here we're finishing up what would appear, and you can't quite call it just yet, but it would certainly appear that we have completed now 5 waves to finish the 3rd of the largest degree, given this very clean subdivision that we get into the 5th. And take note, yet again, we get that triangular 4th wave where the C wave is truncated. It's not as deep as the A wave. And then we get that final push up. And it would appear that we've now finished a 5-wave sequence. So if I take this back out, if I go back out to the hourly, and we get some sense of where we are. So let me go into auto here and then just scrunch a little bit. So that would tell us that potentially here, so there's our 1 wave. So we've got a 1, 2, we've got a very, very clearly an impulsive structure up here to complete. Right now, we can't quite call it just yet, but it would appear that we have completed this 3rd wave. So now we're going to pull from the 2nd, this low down here, looking for the 4th. So that's really all we can do. We have perfect technical trading. Subdivision couldn't be any better. So it's a wait and see. So we've got I think I've got my 4s way over here. Let me find them. So I've got to put the wave on to get them back into sight. Yeah, there we are. So let's go. I'm going to have to go to the 4-hour to get a handle on that. Okay, so let's get this back over here. Here's the algo target potentially if we've got a top in here. And again, we don't know that we have a top, but it certainly plays as a potential top. So if we start to move back down, then we can play this as a completed 3rd. So I'm going to take the wave off now that I've got some perspective. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the hourly. Okay, so here we come back up here. There's our algo target. Here's our high probability zone for a 4th. Now, given how straight vertical we've gone, it wouldn't surprise me we get a little more. We certainly want to see a 3-wave subdivision to give us an A, B, C. Now, we know it's been very common to see that truncated C wave. So really, we're just looking for the subdivision to get some confidence in a next entry, because this is going to be prone to a pretty substantial correction if it starts, So, and the idea being, understand, you've got a lot of people that are long here that are going to nurse those profits. So likely you've got trailing stops being moved up along the way. So should this start to correct and we get the kind of subdivision that we would want to see into an ABC, I'm going to put the wave on that, just make the point. So if we start to see that, we're going to start ticking off stops on the way down. So, and then here's the, I mean, we don't know where this is going to stop. We're going to look for subdivision within the A, within the B. Now, this is the pattern that we see a lot, and we'll be able to start to analyze that when we get a handle on where the A wave is. If and when we get the B, how it subdivides, do we get this kind of a thing again? And we're so steep, you really almost can't put a pitchfork on it. So we'll work the pitchfork on the way back down, looking for a confluence zone where perhaps we can get a tap of the median line. But right now, if you're not in it, you're just waiting. That's the only. I mean, unless you just want to roll the dice and buy it up here, I certainly wouldn't. So it's a wait and see. You've got this very clean technical trading. No reason to anticipate that won't continue. So you wait now and look for the subdivision to give you some sense of where you are. The more common mistake is to buy the A wave because you're impatient, right? So that's typically what happens. So even if you see 3 waves into the A wave, likely you're going to get 3 clean waves here. Just as we've seen all this perfect subdivision on the way up, we would anticipate that we're going to get clean subdivision into an A, B, C. The B wave is the push up for new highs that fails, brings us back into a C, and we look for 5 wave subdivision into that C, whether or not it makes the A or we get that truncated pattern, or we potentially go all the way down to the 50. That's more traditional. That's the 4th that you'd be anticipating in different asset classes. But in crypto, you got to go when you get the opportunity. So if it's offered here and we have the subdivision that we look for, then we take it. We take it, right? And then we just be disciplined about the stop and the amount of risk, knowing that here's our first target, there's the algo target. If and when we get offered down here, there's our first target. Doesn't mean it stops there, but the algos are likely buyers here at the 50. But algos aren't tracking an Elliott wave count. We're trying to weave in around what they're what they're doing, and the potential here is that we get this truncated pattern. We push up to this first target. So it's a wait and see, but very technical trading. If you're in it, congratulations, good for you. What a beautiful trade. And if you're not, well, we'll wait and see. If you are in it, now you have the question of, do you want to lock in some profits here, maybe take a partial profit up here, allowing for this correction to unfold, and then look to maybe add back or take your full profit, and then look for the 4th as your opportunity to get long for the 5th. All right, guys? Okay, I'll wrap it there.